First things you want to check to make sure you have gas in the tank. Your oil, you check right here with this dipstick here. You unscrew it, and it should be to the point where it barely starts to drip out. Make sure you have all your safety tips. If you don't have them, please replace them. Make sure on your gun that you have your O-ring inside of the gun, because if you don't have that, it will leak. You should have an O-ring also inside of here for connection. If it doesn't, it will leak between the gun and the hose. You're going to take the one end of the hose at the male end and pull back on the female end of the connection and make sure it snaps and locks all the way closed. Hook up the gun. You have male to female quick disconnection. Make sure it closes all the way. So we'll go with the white for just general light cleaning. Take the head, snap it in there, make sure it snaps and the connection closes. It snaps all the way up. Otherwise, this will pop off. Turning on the pressure washer, you want to make sure you have the water on first, gun open, flick the red switch on the side of the engine underneath the tank to on. Move the choke lever, which is the gray lever, below the throttle. This is the throttle. The choke lever is right here. Move this to the left to start. Make sure your gas is on. You'll see the arrow. It says gas on should be to the right. Pull the starter rope over. Engine will start. Once it starts, move the choke lever back to the right. That will be run position. Operating speed should have this gray throttle lever all the way to the left. Only put it down to idle if you do have to step away from it to lower noise and conserve fuel. Engine will start. Once it starts, move choke lever over to the right. That's run position. For running, move it up to full throttle. Always. This handle here, a little bit of the pressure boost. Most cases, you do not have to adjust it at all. If you leave it where it's at initially, it will do the job just fine. If you notice, there's also a little black spigot here. There's nothing that ever gets attached. This is basically a pressure relief for the pump. If it ever gets to the point where when people leave the machine not being used for longer than a minute, pressure will build up in the pump and it can get hot. So this is a pressure relief. Okay, so that's why I was recommending earlier, if you are going to step away from the machine for more than a minute, please shut off before you leave your project. Make sure your throttle lever is moved more back towards the tank or idle position. Just turn off this power switch here. As far as the gun and the hose, make sure that the pressure is relieved after you shut off the engine. Proper lifting technique of this pressure washer would be, if you're trying to do one person, which I don't recommend, but if needed, would be to pick it up behind the engine and in the front handle here area. Please lift with your knees and not with your back. If you have a second person with you, have them be on the opposite side, grab in the same area, and then lift up in the van and you're ready to go. First things first, always check your gas. Make sure you have good, clean gas. Make sure the gas cap area is wiped clean before you put gas in it. That way it prevents any dirt, debris, or maybe even water from getting in the tank. 10W30 oil should be changed after the first 10 hours and then approximately about every 50 hours after that. The oil level should be right here to the edge. You can also check it by putting in the dipstick. Turn the dipstick over and it should be up near the top. Air filters underneath this wing nut. You have a two-part filter. You have a sponge filter on the outside. It should be clean like this, and it should have a little bit of oil to it. It should have a little bit of a residue on it. You should feel a little oily. Paper filter should be clean. It should not get dark in color or have a lot of material in between these pleats. If it does and it gets really discolored, please come in and buy a new one. Outer filter can be cleaned. This should be done periodically. Check it at least once every few weeks. Washing it in soap and water, let it dry, then take same oil they would put in the engine, which is 1030, and you put a little bit on here. Put a stream on here, squeeze it through in a plastic bag. Should just have enough oil on it to be damp. Do not want it dripping. Also, it has a sight glass here. If you look here, it should be to the middle of this bubble. Okay, if the oil level falls below the middle of that bubble, that means your oil is leaking somewhere. If it is doing that, please bring it to us so we can do the repair.